Hello, everybody. Happy Mardi Gras. It is this Tuesday is Fat Tuesday. The parades are going crazy in New Orleans. I've seen lots and lots of people out at the parades. A little surprising. I'm going to go this year. Just my personal opinion, but I'm excited to see people out and about because I'm sure everybody's tired of being stuck at home and being a homebody. I'm wearing this shirt today. I'm wearing this shirt that says homebody and I'm wearing a hat, you know that I'm a lounging on a Sunday. So some news I want to tell everybody because and we'll get into the headlines of the housing market in just a second. I just wanted to give you guys a heads up. So I'm going to be taking a little break from YouTube. Not the live streams still continue just like they are right now. Every Sunday I still will have guests. And I'll be doing live streams. Not quitting YouTube or anything like that. I'm not going to put out some dramatic video. This is I'm quitting. That person. I'm working right now on a course for real estate agents to help them with their YouTube channels. If you didn't know, I do some like little coaching on the side. So I decided to make a whole entire course just to help real estate agents that are wanting to do what I do, which is help people on the internet through YouTube. So I'm working on that and it's taking up a lot of time and it's not letting me focus on creating you really good quality videos. So for the next couple weeks, I'll be working on that and I won't be putting out an edited video, but every Sunday I will still be here talking to all of you, just like I always do, because I enjoy being a part of this. But no, I'm not quitting. I'm not doing that. I'm just letting you know that it's just, I'm just taking a teeny break, just a couple weeks, no videos, just a couple weeks. No, not a big deal. Also, what else was I going to tell you? Oh, our poll. We had a poll that came out today, and I always forget to announce what was going on in the poll. So far, as you guys have trickled in, we are seeing. Are you seeing more homes for sale in the past week? No. Officially, most of you have said no, but 35% of you said they haven't noticed. 39% said no, and 26% said yes. And that is determined by your region. So like if you live in certain areas of California, you're probably seeing an uptick of more listings. But if you live in other areas of the country, you're not noticing a lot of listings getting on the market at all. And if you talk to every real estate agent, they're going to have a different reason why they're either A, more listings on the market, or B, why there isn't enough listings on the market. So if there's any real estate agents in the chat, you can put your opinions of what's going on in your market. And if you think that there's what the reason is for your specific area to either A, have more listings or not have as many listings. Nice to see you, Lawnmower, in the chat, and Wesley and SB and Diamond Rush Media, who is also one of our moderators. Relaxed is in the chat. Who else we got here? Oh, Agent Officer Thomas A. Porter is in the chat. Frosted 1030 is in the chat. Well, welcome everybody. I'm so glad to see you. It's nice to see you too, Clementina. That is a nice name. All right, afternoon, kids. So let's talk first of all. Oh, thank you for my hat. I'm gonna be honest with you. My hat today is the reason I'm wearing a hat is because it's a hair wash day, and it was like so bad that I said I'm not even gonna try to fake it with some dry shampoo. I'm throwing on a hat. So, anyways, the interest rates right now are at like 6.75. When I saw it last on Friday, and I'm like, man, like we were creeping just under, like we were like for a hot minute a couple weeks ago on a Thursday, it was 5.99. And then of course on Friday it went to 6.25. And then now it's just sitting right at 6.75. I'm not a happy camper about that. I'm gonna be honest. Kristina doesn't like that. I wanted to be back in the sixes. So when we see these yo-yo interest rates, it definitely is reflective of what happens in mortgage applications, what happens to buying frenzy. For 2 weeks, the phones were ringing pretty fierce, but I noticed this week wasn't ringing as much. There still seems to be a lot of activity, interest in people buying up or trying to buy their first home. I'm seeing a lot more first-time home buyers. Those second home buyers, man, they're like, no. I'll be honest with you. They're not ready to sell unless they have to, because a lot of them refinanced if they didn't sell, they refinance and they got those low interest rates. So like, why would they move? I wouldn't move. If I had a 2.5, I'd die in that house if it was me. But that's just how I am. So, all right, let's get into the first article. There's two actually that we want to talk about, and then we'll get to your questions about the real estate market. You guys are kind of pretty much dictating this today since I have no guests. It's just me, and you guys are going to be running the show. So let's get into the first article. This is where my title and my thumbnail came from today. The housing market warms up, and this twist could plunge it back into a freeze. A surge in mortgage interest rates last year ground the real estate market into an abrupt halt as scores of would-be buyers could no longer afford to purchase homes. But last month, mortgage interest rates dipped and home prices fell from their peaks. Home shoppers dipped their toes back in. This has been going on for a couple of weeks. I'm not going to lie. Real estate agents across the country report buyers returning to open houses. The number of mortgage applications surged, and the most desirable homes received multiple offers again. And I told you guys, I have seen numerous posts saying, I can't believe we had 13 offers and I still missed out on this house, but it was the most least expensive houses, I'll tell you that. What we're seeing is seeds of a potential spring thaw, says realtor.com senior economist Greg Ratu, but he warns that it's too early to tell if the market will rebound this year. I don't even really think it. Well, whatever. Just because we've had a couple of weeks of positive news doesn't mean the market is roaring back yet. I agree with that. He also continues, we're still in the middle of a winter freeze. Man, some of these things they say. The market typically picks up after the holidays and then takes off in the spring. This is true. But the precipice of a busy season, rising mortgage rates could drive the market back in its stands. Large swings in rates often unnerve potential buyers, and an increase and erase any savings that might have been found a week ago, and an extremely frustrating experience for buyers. Rates had fallen from 7% last year to just below 6% at the beginning of February, according to Mortgage News Daily. But more recently, they climbed again to 6.43, and I think they're 6.7 right now. By Wednesday, the 30-year fixed rate loans that change adds about $100 a month to the typical mortgage payment, nearly $35,000 over the lifetime of the 30-year fixed loan. The calculation assumes the buyer would be putting down 20% on a $400,000 home. Isn't that crazy though? Hold on a minute. Eddie, scroll back up there. The typical price for a home is $400,000. That to me is insanity. I'm sorry. The typical price for a home, the average price, the average median, whatever you want to call it, average price for a home is $400,000. I don't know. That to me is not a first-time home buyer price. I mean, let me know in the chat what you think a first-time home buyer price is for a home. Like what you would think is a fair price for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home average in the United States. What do you think would it would be? Like, I want to know your opinion on this, because every time I hear the prices for the median price, they say it, I'm like, I want to throw up. I want to throw up. Beth R says 180K. See, that seems reasonable to me. 220. What is the average salary? I think for the if I go back in my brain on the average salary in the United States, I think it's $75,000 for a family of 4. 180 up to 250,000, 150 or less. When I bought my first house, it was $135,000, and I was sweating. I didn't know. I didn't know if I was going to make that payment. Yeah. And that's the whole thing is like, I remember at one point, I'm going off the rails for a second. I remember back in the day, if you made 3 figures, if you were making over 100,000, man, you had made it. If you were making over $100,000, you were making it. And at the time I was cutting hair, and I made $45,000 that year. And I'm like, I'll never, ever get to $100,000. I mean, like, how do people ever get to $100,000? I thought you'd be on easy street with $100,000. That's for sure. Eddie pulled up the statistic. The median worker brings home an essential $54,000. So a family, I think it's a family, family of 3 or 4, I think it's 75,000. So $54,000. Wow. Whoa, I didn't expect a live stream to see a live stream. Yeah, well, yeah, of course there's a live stream. Yep. 250,000. Yeah, like I think like the first time home buyer range in my brain is that 180 to 250. That's in my head. I would think that would be the average first time home buyer buying a house. But it's hard to find a house in that price range in most areas. Yeah. 200K and below. Yep. It's just too difficult. And then you add like with the interest rate at let's just say 3.75, that's going to be a lot more than rent most places. Utter Bullspit says I look like Sherlock Smallhorn. I'm doing a little investigating reporting. Oh, I do want to say too, I don't know if you guys watched last week's live stream. I started off because I was super concerned because nobody was talking about the big explosion in Ohio. Well, this week, man, I'm very proud that the news finally got onto this. It looks like they're going to be getting the help that they need. I just hope those people that own homes there are going to be able to go back to their homes at some point. Like there's some remediation to all of this and they get back in their houses. I worry for those people because if I had a mortgage in a house that over there in that area and that happened, holy cow, I'd probably walk away from it and let myself be foreclosed on because there's no way that I pay on a house that no one can live in again. Yeah. So anyways, that was my 2 cents. I wanted to throw them out there. So the other thing too, Eddie, pull up that article from Zillow because I want to read that one part about the supply of houses because it's not where we should be. That's for sure. We were, the estimates on the supply of homes that we should be at is a constantly debated topic. Some articles will tell you that it's only 3 million. Some will say 5 million. I've seen it as high as 7.5 million. So anyways, this is where I got the little 16.7%. It says that inventory remains rather scarce by pre-pandemic standards, but buyers are not exactly swarming to the doorway of every open house like they did in 21 and 22. There's some faint evidence that sellers are back to the table. The flow of new listings is only down 16.7% year over year in January after a 27.8% annual decline in December. But it will take more than that to truly balance the market back out, and more revived supply should help with returning demand to head off the risk of renewing overheating. I don't agree with this. This is the part I don't agree with because we do not have enough homes in that range that you guys even put in the chat that are affordable, right? Most people are looking, or especially those are the people that are entering the market right now are first-time home buyers. That's what's driving demand right now is first-time home buyers. There isn't enough of those types of homes that are on the market to meet that demand. So when you have that, those homes on the lower end are going to have a lot of, the same kind of bidding wars that we had in previous years. And that's the part where I'm really concerned about. I've been talking about that, and I think that's what's going to happen this spring. This is just my opinion. Those houses in the mid ranges and up are probably going to see either declines or at least a lot more negotiation. But the ones that are in the lower end where people are just trying to get into the market, I'm very concerned that we're going to see just ridiculousness again. If the rates, now let me just preface this. If the rates go into like the 5s again, we're going to see a lot more people jumping into the market. Where we're at right now at 6.75, there's probably still people sitting on the fence going, no, not until I see it in the 5s. Yeah. And Crystal Case has a question. Can you start a class for rental properties? I have one rental and I need your knowledge and advice. You could do a whole paid series. I that is not my honestly my wheelhouse. I have some rentals, and I'm only seeing it from the perspective of a very small investor. I don't own several, I don't have a bucket of rental properties. I just have the two houses. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. My husband and I manage them together. If you have a specific question you want to ask me, you can always go to my website and you can fill out that form and I'll give you a call. Just make sure you put your phone number there. Just go to KristinaSmallhorn.com, put in you can click on anything, either one of those pink buttons, put in your information and I'll give you a call and we'll talk and I'll help you with what I can. If I can't help you, I'll find somebody that can. Especially if it has to relate to your laws in your area or anything like that. Cause there's so many different rules and laws when it comes to renting. Whoo! Every area is different. Every single area is different. That's for sure. Just FYI. Yeah. But I only I help real estate agents with their YouTube channel. I can teach you on that if you're a real estate agent, but I can't. I wouldn't be able to do a whole entire course. I can answer what I can answer, but it wouldn't be enough for a whole entire training. And boy, oh boy, you learn a lot when you. I guess sometimes I don't even realize how much I do know until I start talking. But you learn a lot by doing. That's for sure. Laura says, question, we're considering moving across the country from Dallas, Texas to Massachusetts. That's my hometown. Any advice on timing to sell versus buying in a much more expensive market? Well, always in New England, where I'm from, there isn't many houses for sale during the wintertime, obviously, because it's cold outside and the roads are more treacherous or whatever. But that's when you can get the best deals. If you're moving to the Plymouth area, I actually know a couple real estate agents. That's my hometown. That's where I was raised, is up in Plymouth, Massachusetts. If you have that area, I can help you find a real estate agent. But the sooner the better, because especially if you're in that lower price range category, it's going to be more difficult for you to find a home that is going to be in that lower end. So just FYI, and I'll let you know too, the way, I don't know how old of a house you're willing to buy, but if you're getting closer to like that New England area, just know the homes are going to be a lot older than they are in Texas, and you're not going to have those expansive, huge closets like you do in Texas. The architecture and the floor plans are completely different. And I know you're going to be like, I miss my Texas house. You don't see a lot of floor plans that are like open floor plans that was built in the 70s. That's for sure. I miss that kind of, I miss my old house from the 70s. Like, I loved that house. I'll never have another open floor plan again. And the whole reason is because it's loud. It is so loud. Anybody that's in the living room area, you can feel it through the whole entire house. You can never escape the noise. When there's a bunch of walls that cut up every single room, sure. Does it make your house feel smaller? Yes, but I like cozy and I don't want to hear anybody else's garbage anymore. I'm done. My next house is going to have 1,000 walls everywhere. You're gonna have to find me behind a wall. It's easier to hide away from monsters if you have a lot of walls. These are the things I think about at night. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm on my own today, so I gotta take several sips of water. Peter has a question. He says, with so many people priced out of what it is for sale, make it balanced market. Prices have come down fast since last summer's peak. That depends on where you're at. Like my last summer's peak here in my area, prices haven't dropped significantly, not at all. We're what I consider stagnant. Home prices have remained flat. They're not really going up. They're not really going down. And for the year, they're up. Was it 2.6% year over year? So throughout the country, they're still up. They're just not up. They're not going up 40% like they were in 2021 and 2022, but they're still continue to rise which I had been saying that the market would remain stagnant for quite some time before we would ever see any kind of significant shift. Now, I'm just talking about the housing market as a whole. If you go into some places, some cities, some areas are seeing significant price drops, but that is not indicative of the whole entire country. Those are just a few cities, not the rest of the country. So that would be only be a matter for your specific area. I still see that the most inexpensive homes are still going to see the most significant rise in home prices over the summer. That's my prediction, unless interest rates go up. Unless interest rates go up. If we're going to see like 8s again, people will be dropping their prices, because the driving force right now is first-time home buyers. They can't do 8% on like a $400,000 house. They can't do it. They can't do it. Where did Eddie go? It's really difficult to run this by myself, I have to tell you. I'm not saying like with Eddie in the background, just sitting here talking by myself. That's hard. Rates needs to stay very high for a while until supply catches up. I kind of agree with that. I will say that there needs to be more construction of homes in that lower bracket of cost. We just do not have enough of those smaller houses. We have plenty of McMansions, those second houses. We have plenty of those, and they continue. That's what they've been building for the last like 5 years. They're not building the starter home because it doesn't make them as much money. Can't blame them there. There's no incentive for them to build that starter. I wish they would, though. Like that's what we really truly need, is enough of those homes. We have plenty of McMansions. We need another one of those, like a hole in the head. Cute hat. Almost Fat Tuesday. Yes. We've had 3 king cakes this year. I've actually gotten the baby once. My daughter got it once. I don't know who got it the third time. I think somebody came over the house and got the baby. Median home prices in July were $415,000, and now they're at $392,000. I mean, that's how much would that even? It wouldn't even make a difference, though, because at the peak, the interest rates were so incredibly low, still low at the peak, and now the interest rates are high. If you were to buy a house at that price right now, you'd still be paying more than the person that bought it for $415,000 because of the interest rates. It's crazy. Crazy. Question. Falsificationism. There we go. Isn't it always more profitable to build expensive homes on per acre basis? If so, why would builders ever build homes in the lower price point? Or does the market somehow need to autocorrect? You are correct. I've talked about this often. So, let's go back in a time machine. Back in the day, after World War II, we needed a supply of houses, and they wanted veterans to be able to purchase a home, but there wasn't enough homes available for people that had come back. I mean, they didn't have the income to purchase a lot of houses. So they made a big giant push through the federal government, through all these different programs to incentivize builders to build houses. They did it out in California, and they built it out in New Jersey. These huge PUDs, planned unified developments of small 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom houses, no more than like 3-bedroom, 2-bath. They built them super fast. They were built with modular construction. They're still standing to this day. The houses in California, matter of fact, that those people bought for $8,000 are now worth $745,000 today. It can be done, but there has to be incentives for the builders to do it. Like, you're right. Why would a builder build a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath house when they can build on that same exact lot with the same many builders for the same cost on their end a 2,000 square foot house that they could sell for, $400 to $500,000. I mean, I get it. I know why they don't do it. They don't make as much money. So if you give the developers a reason, a tax incentive, maybe a reduction of the cost of the land, because the government owns lots of land that can be developed for housing developments, something like that, then yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you? To say it can't be done is stupidity. Yes, it can be done. If they could do it back then, they could do it now. And don't say there's a different world now. Baloney. That's baloney. You give people an incentive to do something. In other words, incentive meaning money, they will do it. Anybody will do it. Everybody loves money, Um, anyways, Sabrina Roberts says, I live in SoCal. I closed on new construction in the home last week. Congratulations. From when I put the deposit down in September to when I closed, the homes went up $33,000. I could not afford my home if I bought it today. Well, luckily they didn't renegotiate or try to get you to renegotiate that contract at $33,000 more, because back not even a year and a half ago, home builders were saying, well, the house is valued at $100,000 more. And sure, we negotiated the house at 400,000, but now that the housing development and we're getting in on all these offers, it's now 500,000. And then the thing is those builder contracts read in a way that there was nothing that the home buyers could do about it, not a thing. So they like a lot of people, they sold their house waiting for their new house to be built. Builder comes in and says it's going to be $100,000 more. Well, they didn't qualify for that loan, and they were, stuck being homeless, which was just gross. So some of these houses that are still sitting on the market, and these builders that did this, I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel bad for them at all, because they took advantage of people during that time. So anyways, Kyle has a question. It says, what does the environmental disaster like what's going on in Ohio do to land prices? Well, right now, I'm not an appraiser, but I have seen my fair share of disasters that hit Louisiana. For the time being, I can't imagine a person on the planet going, I think I'm going to move to East Palestine. I hear it's really quiet. Nobody's doing that. And if there was someone that needed to move, or they have a job transfer or whatever, and they have a home there's no one going to buy that. What are they going to do? Land prices will tank. You're literally, it's going to be worthless. If you're going to buy a piece of land and something around that surrounding area, you better have some massive soil tests done. And you should have that written in your land contract that you're going to have those soil tests done. And if they don't pass, you're not purchasing it. So, I mean, that to me is one of the most heart-wrenching things for those families. I don't know what they're going to do for them. I mean, honestly, as a country, we should not even have forcing these people to go back there and telling them the water's good enough. You'll be fine. Give me a break. I'm sorry. I'm burned up about it. I thought about that before it was national news. I had mentioned it on this live stream, and I can't get over how many people were like, just leave. How can you just leave when you have a mortgage on a house? How can you just leave when you have a farm? You can't just leave. And if the right thing to do is for somebody to go ahead and tell these people move somewhere else and give them some kind of restitution, and it should be paid by that railroad company that caused the problem in the first place. Because they try to, let's be honest, I'm no conspiracy theory, but if they've waited this long before the federal government came in to take a look, it's because they're cleaning up their act a little bit before they decided to let people go back in, oh, we don't need the government. No. And now they're like, well, okay, the federal government can come in now. Well, they were just, they were dotting their I's and crossing their T's and throwing some dust under the carpet. So we all know. And that railroad should be paying off every single family so they can move all their mortgages, everything, so they can go somewhere else. Cause that place to me is like Chernobyl. I would not be there in no way. Brandon, what do you know about the Atlanta market? My partner is a teacher and I'm a grad student. Is it impossible to find workforce 100% AMI for the sale housing here? Well, I don't know if you know anything. So one of the most popular cities for corporate investors is Atlanta and the surrounding areas of Atlanta. If you're looking for the most affordable homes throughout Atlanta, you're going to have a harder time. Now, that's not saying it can't be done. There's lots of little pockets throughout Atlanta. It's beautiful out there. Seasons are fantastic. The person that I know that knows Atlanta better than anybody is Shahida Hill. She's on YouTube here. Shahida Hill, she has a YouTube channel and she can give you a little more insight on the Atlanta market. It's a great place, man. There's a lot of investors out there, and I'm curious to see what happens this summer with a lot of those investment properties, especially the ones in the hottest markets. Like, what about all those people that bought into Austin, Texas, and they're having a hard time finding renters now? Are they going to either drop their rent or put it up for sale? I mean, that could cause an influx of people, but those would be the smaller investors. The bigger investors, I don't think they care if the market drops because they already have bought a lot of those homes cash, and if they didn't buy cash, they got cheap money on it. It's the interest rates were so low for them, and then they can continuously have a surplus of people coming through that want to rent their houses. I don't think the big investors are going to dump their inventory. I'm thinking more like the smaller ones that were thinking they were going to make $1 million overnight. I didn't see as many flippers, I have to tell you, in this last housing boom. They had a hard time finding a deal for them to be able to flip in the first place. So Agent Officer Thomas Porter has a question. It says, Kristina, how many people rent an apartment or home outright? This is not on the radar in the States. What percentage you think? Own their home outright? Eddie, could you pull that up to see if there's somebody, like how many people actually just completely own their home and they have no mortgage whatsoever? You'd be surprised. Like if you go to, this is like one of the places that like kills me. So like I said, I'm from Massachusetts originally. And during the summertime, every area is packed to the hilt. Right around September, a lot of those towns and cities that are right along the beach, all around the Cape, are empty. Huge mansions, gated communities, and you only see like 1 or 2 lights on there, huge mansions, and they were only there for a week. This is our summer home. That's a life I can't understand. That's a a world I will never figure out, that like they have a fully decorated, fully furnished mansion on the beach that they get to visit. I get to visit for the summer. I get to go crabbing, pick up some mussels and razor clams that are on the shore here. Head back. We'll just head back to California or whatever. I don't know. Just kills me. I don't know what the percentage is. Eddie's going to pull it up. I would be guessing, but I do know this. It's surprising how many properties baby boomers have. Most of them have 1 or 2, have 2 properties, and they paid for both. According to the market customer database Statistica, nearly 44 million housing units were rented, comprised of 34% of total households. Per the U.S. Data, the average household size is 2.6 people. Thus, the number of renters, Eddie, you're pulling up the renters. He wanted to know how many people actually own their home, like outright, that don't have a mortgage. You pulled up how many people rent. Oh, maybe how many people rent an apartment or own it outright? For 44 million people rent, though. Man, like the thing is the key, like everybody knows, and if you've read any kind of economic book, anybody that's ever made billions of dollars, they owned it, and they did it with real estate. They own real estate, and that's how your parents got out of sticky situations. They could remortgage their house so they could pay off debts, and to own a house adds security to your life, in the long run. I mean, when you say you pay it off and you have all this equity in there and something happens, you can use that equity to, save your life basically. And for them to just basically turn it into, well, you don't really want that. You want to turn it into a renter's nation. Like to me, it's crazy. And I really do believe that they're trying to market, corporations are trying to market to younger generations that owning a home is a hassle and that you really just want to rent. So that way you can always move whenever you want to and don't have to deal with the nonsense of trying to sell it. They kind of downplay home ownership, which is a terrible thing. So the home ownership rate in the United States rose slightly in 2022, reaching its highest figure since 2011. In 2022, the proportions of households which occupied by owners stood about 65.9%. The home ownership rate was the highest in 2004, before the 2007 to 2009 recession hit, disseminating the housing market. The rate continues to fail. Is it fail or fall? I can't see. Until 2016. I guess fall until 2016, but has begun to increase again. If you're looking at that statistic and you're thinking, well, that's alarming. Well, the difference is to now from then is the regulations that have come up from home lending. People that are going to purchase a home have to go through a approval process unlike we'd ever seen in 2006 or 2005 to 2009. It was so much easier to buy a house then, but making it easier for people to buy a house then actually backfired. But it wasn't just people that caused, like they always make it sound like, well, because people couldn't pay their mortgages and they got in over their heads, they caused the biggest problem. No, I mean, that was one factor. There's all sorts of other factors that happened during that time that caused the housing recession. I mean, it wasn't just one thing. And it wasn't just the fact that we had these interest only, or whatever they call those loans, ARM loans that were crazy with terrible buyers. There was all sorts of other things that were going on. So we had overbuilt. That was the highest we had ever built in history. There were more new home builds at that time than ever. And if you look at the chart now, from that time now, the builders were like, we're not building anymore, and they haven't. And that's why we have a housing shortage. Mark says, move into a starter home and don't move. That's, I've noticed a trend on social media sites that a lot of people who did buy their first starter home said, I'm never leaving. There's no way. I have a 2.3 interest rate. I'm never leaving this house. I'll add on to it before I move. When am I ever in history going to get another 2.3% interest rate? He's like, all those people told me I was crazy at the beginning of the pandemic. No, I shouldn't buy a house. He's like, who's laughing now? And, they're right. They're right. Clementina has a question. Says, when should you purchase points to lower your interest rate or put money down to keep the monthly payment down? That is an individual question for your lender. So that would, and it would be dependent on what your goals were for that specific time. How long will your rate be kept down? How many points are you allowed to bring down your mortgage interest rate? I would prefer I would prefer to have more money taken off, because at some point I could refinance again. But then if I was nervous about interest rates in the future and they're not going to go down again, then I would buy down the points. It's whatever your goals are. You're going to have to look at that. JSK with a super chat of $2. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you. Super chat. Give me a little super chat with no question, but I appreciate you giving me the super chat. You guys talking in the chat, I see. You guys are talking to one another. That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm interested to see what this summer brings. If we have interest rates in the low sixes or even in the fives, I predict it's going to go crazy again. Not for the more expensive houses, but the least expensive houses. That's what I'm so nervous about it because the more like every time I open up and start reading real estate agents' posts, they're not whining that they're not getting any buyers. They're whining because they're having to deal with a lot of homes that they just can't get for their buyers because they've already either A, been scooped up, or B, they're already doing like some bidding wars. So I'm like, oh my gosh, if that's where we're at right now, and interest rates are like in the sixes, I can only imagine if they are in the fives. I don't think there's a cooling off period this spring unless interest rates are high. So Peter has a question. Have you seen Jason Walters' videos lately? When will you have him back on? I don't watch Jason, like I love him. He's a good friend of mine. He reads the headlines and he talks over the articles that are from like realtor.com, Zillow, Redfin. I invite him on all the time, but he's been really busy. I don't know if you know, but him and his wife had a baby not too long ago. Maybe it was six months ago. And he tries to get those videos out as quickly as possible. And I think on the weekends, he's just trying to spend more time with his family. And I can't really blame him. But I ask him all the time. I'm like, can you do? Oh, well, I can't this weekend. Oh, try me again. I try to get him on. I love him. I think he's a great guy. Joni Johnson says, Kristina, did you see the article from Tacoma, Washington commercial building is converting to housing? Yes. Lots of building new housing in Tacoma. The news calls itself urban living. Yes. So somebody actually sent me an article talking about how they are doing my idea. They're taking old malls and then they're turning them into housing units, affordable housing units. And then somebody else sent me an article. I believe it was either out of Colorado or Oregon. I know, two totally separate states, but they are going to be taking a shopping mall and doing exactly, it's proposed exactly what I said, which was senior assisted living, which the seniors would live on the bottom floor, which I had said the upper floor. They said the bottom floor. And then they're going to have medical facilities, doctors, walk-in clinics, that kind of thing on the upstairs. I was like, if they do that, man, I'm gonna swear they watched my channel because I've talked about that a lot. Yes, I think it's fantastic. I think there's so many more companies that are more open to the idea of having people work from home, knowing that they can make the same profit as they did before, and then they don't have as much liability if someone was to get hurt at an office building, So. Oh, look, Eddie's got it up. Office building in Tacoma to be converted into apartments, according to Horizons Partners, who owns the building. The goal is to build 75 units with 63 in the tower and 12 in the building's adjoining two-story annex. Wow, look at that. Eddie's so good. He pulled it up for us. We can't play the video because it's we get a little copyright strike. Kristina doesn't want that. Grammy H has a question. The question is continued. Should I rent my house or sell? I want to rent a senior apartment. I don't know your financial situation. I'm one of these people. If I can afford financially to have my investment properties making money for me, I'm going to continue to have those until the day I die. Like if there's a way that I could always make money off of a income producing property, I'm going to keep it as long as I can possibly keep it. Creola with a super chat, $9.99. I bought my house in September for 2021, and now it's only $37,000 over what I bought it for. And over what you bought it for, and declining. Hold on. I bought my house in September, and now it's only $37,000 over what I bought it for, and declining. What do you think the likelihood is of COVID boom buyers going underwater? My house is worth $367,000. Well, if you still have equity, you still have an equity stake of $37,000 in a typical housing market. The average you would make per year of an increase on your home is between 3 to 6%. That's a normal market. So if you take that same amount of money that you purchased your house for in 2021, and you add the 3% on for the last 2 years, that would be your average that you would have made on your house in a normal market. If you can continue to pay on your house, just like anything, just like people that were told in 2007 they were totally stupid for buying a house because the housing market was collapsing, and that home prices are going to go in the toilet. 7 years later, they made their money back, plus some. These markets always go up and down. If you hold on to that piece of property for 10 years, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. That's my opinion. What do y'all think? What do you think in the chat? Do you think that's a right opinion of mine? I've had some. I rarely do you get a piece of property that's in a decent area that declines after 10 years. Like you bought it for $100,000, and 10 years later it's only worth $87,000. That would be in an area that was depressed in the first place. It could have had some kind of something happen, like a natural disaster, like a train went off the tracks. That's something you can't foresee in the future, even if you wanted to. So Brandon Everett said, everyone is mentioning a housing crash, but how is it this possible with such a shortage? I don't mention a housing crash. Matter of fact, I haven't mentioned a housing crash since 2021. I do the opposite. I'm only going to report what I know to be true. I'm not going to make any kind of predictions that the housing market's going to go down 30 to 40%. I'm not going to pull up speculations of graphs that say that this, you could literally make any graph you wanted to, make it say what you want it to say to push your narrative. And then that's the truth. But the other truth of that is today, as of right now, we're not having a housing crash. We do not have enough homes that are on the market that are affordable for people to purchase. And we have an affordability problem. And we've had that affordability problem prior to the pandemic. It just became so alarmingly clear that they couldn't ignore it any further. And to get that affordability nonsense, like we want to talk that under the carpet because we don't want to talk about affordability. Let's just keep pushing the fact that the housing market might crash, so people won't buy houses, and then these corporations can buy them instead and make our kids into renters for life. That's how I see it. That's my conspiracy tinfoil hat moment for you. But mentioning a housing crash, housing bubble, housing collapse, those kinds of things create clicks. And the people that make those videos are laughing their way all the way to the bank. Honestly, I saw somebody's analytics. I didn't pull it up. Somebody else had shown me their analytics, and they're making $50,000 to $60,000 making those videos every single month. Those guys that are out there that are doing like 3-4 of those videos a week, it's because it's making them money, a lot of money. So it doesn't have to be true. It just gets them the clicks. So, but I realize that my 2.8% interest rate is sweet. It is sweet. It is so sweet. Hold on to that house forever. I'm serious. It will come back. I mean, you gained $37,000. That's incredible. Most people in 2 years or a year and a half do not gain $37,000 on the house. Like I said, they normally get 3 to 6%. So you haven't lost anything. That's for sure. Diamond Rush Media says, Eddie, Indiana News is showing a huge government fed and state to demolish interstate welcome stations and redo to the tune of 19 billion, malls and more. Burns my britches. Welcome stations, like you mean like where people go to the bathroom, like when you get off the interstate and you have to go to the bathroom? Is that what you're talking about? Okay. Just I can think of what $19 billion could. I would rather have a bridge fixed before the welcome station where I have to go potty. That's my 2 cents. Rather potholes fixed. Yeah, it's amazing. Like when I used to think of 19 billion or $19 million, I'm like, oh, I could buy the universe. And now you see how much, I mean, $1 million could go just like that. I mean, just like that. $1 million doesn't get you what it used to, does it? God, I sound old. Not getting any younger, that's for sure. Alarmar says, having a housing crash or or baby goats in the title of your video will get you clicks. I don't know about baby goats. Maybe that on the thumbnail. Maybe that on the thumbnail. I'll put a baby goat on my next live stream just for you, lawnmower. How about I put like this is what I should do. Should put like a sign that says housing crash and then have a baby goat hanging over the side of it just for you. I might do that just for a minute just for you to see it. Nope, the rest areas are vital to truckers. Oh, okay, I gotcha. No, that makes sense because they do have those areas where they can park behind the like where the normal people, like not the normal, I should have said wrong. Don't come after me. People that are not licensed to drive a truck, that are just driving their families along, and they stop at a rest area, and then you have the areas for the truckers so they can take their showers and all that stuff. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, what they're doing across the country and driving all that way and not having to get a hotel, and they can find a space where they're safe and they can take a shower and eat a meal. Yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. All right, Karen Duff has a question. Will the 80-10-10 option in buying a home come back, or do some states have it still? The 80-10-10. I would be lying if I told you. I honestly, that's a lender question. I don't know. You know that, Karen, I don't know if you know this, but they had proposed and they have been trying to do this for ever since I've been in real estate, 2007, they were trying to come up with the 50-year mortgage. And then people weren't buying it because, like, once you figured out the amortization arm, they were like, that's stupid. Why would I pay for an additional 20 years for nothing, And then, so then they were like, well, we'll do 45 years. Nobody's buying it. 40 years. Nope. They won't do it. So it says, even if you don't have 20% down, you can avoid the cost of private mortgage insurance, PMI, with an 80-10-10 loan. You can take out your primary mortgage for 80% of the purchase price and the second mortgage for the 10% while making the 10% down payment. Now, if you have a government-backed loan, and let's just say you bought it in 2021, you've made enough equity that you can easily get rid of that PMI. And then once the PMI has fallen off, they can't add it back to you, even if your area has declined in price and value. They can't say to you now, well, your house when you bought it was worth $400,000. Then you were able to take your PMI off because it's worth $485,000, and they can't come back to you because the market now says your house is only worth $380,000. They can't just tack that back on to you. But most mortgages have that. So gas stations in rest areas up north are freaking amazing. We have some, believe it or not, the South, it gets a lot of garbage for, terrible roads and everything else, but our rest areas are pretty good. I've even said to Eddie, because I remember them as a kid and I was always like creeped out thinking there were spiders everywhere, but we've stopped because I love a road trip, and we've stopped. The rest areas are nice. We've had some really nice ones. And then Eddie will get really tired and he'll just kind of like pull over into an empty spot and take a little napsy for a little bit before he gets back on the road. And they're nice. They look like little parks. They even got little picnic benches out there. So Tech 1200. Oh my gosh. I'm going to talk. Tech 1200 says, what is the future for buildings and the future of commercial real estate? I have been saying, and I still maintain this because the government is pushing for this as well, is I see that if there's going to be commercial buildings being built, we're going to see a lot more commercial buildings made with modular construction, because they can be put together a lot quicker than the typical construction. You don't have to worry about rain delays and everything else. Not only that, they're extremely energy efficient, and they can be put up so easily, and they're like a monolithic. So when they're clicked together, they have a stronger support than a typical building would. And, to prove my point, do you remember like at the beginning of the pandemonium, China decided to build a hospital, and in 4 days they had a full hospital? Well, it wasn't because they were like super fast. It was because they had all these little modules modular constructed buildings that they could put together like Legos, and boom, they have a hospital. We can do that here, and they're encouraging that. If you look at the recent affordable housing plans that have been brought up by the government, they're talking a lot about modular. So that's what I see happening, and I'm excited for it. I think its day is overdue. We've been needing to do this for quite some time. Thomas Morrison said, question, what is it like? What is the likelihood of remote work being a permanent for many companies, allowing people to live near in cheaper areas? Depends on the company. So and you've probably seen it as well. Some of the bigger companies who had said, oh, we're always going to have work from home, our employees are doing so good, found out that they don't like it because they can't control their employees like they used to. They like having that little thumb over them going, work, work, work. So some of the bigger companies going back. But I think that for a lot of employers who never even thought of the concept of working from home and seeing how successful it was, there is a place for some work at home employees, just like there's a place for the workers that like to be at the office. There's definitely a mix of those people. There's plenty of people that hate working from home, but there's a good portion that like it. Time will tell what the complete fallout is of it. I think you're seeing a lot less offices being as full as they used to. I mean, I can just drive through Baton Rouge and parking lots aren't nearly as full. Even lunchtime traffic isn't what it used to be, hasn't come back yet. So I just think that I think it works out for employers and employees. And if they're smart, they would keep up with that. That's my opinion. That is my opinion. I've got a million of them. Serge Glass says, doesn't matter how low the inventory is when most people can't buy a home. But the thing is there's a good portion of people that can buy a home, but the inventory of homes that are available to them isn't affordable. And if you built more affordable homes, then you would have people that could buy them and would be able to pay them. I mean, I've spoken to, worked with plenty of people that have had good jobs, good paying jobs, don't carry a ton of debt. They just don't make a ton of money, but they would be an excellent person for a mortgage, but we can't find them a house in their price range. If we had houses here that are like in the 120s, 140s, with the average income in our area, they would sell like hotcakes. We have a lot of plant workers and factory workers that would be their ideal price range, but we just don't have enough of those homes. If some developer, a lot of these companies own tons of land, if they gave that land or reduced the price of that land and had a developer develop it for their employees, oh my gosh, how smart would that be? You have people that are getting mortgages. They could drive right to the plant with no problem. They would be great, a great person to give a loan to because they have a great job. If I made the rules, if I made the rules, it would look a lot different. Julie Henderson says, do you find locations serviced by public transportation increase real estate prices? Well, if you look at locations like, I would say the only places in the United States that have good public transportation are Chicago, New York, Atlanta. Where else has some good? I mean, United States isn't really known for its awesome public transportation system. That is for sure. That is for sure. So yeah, when you see those big cities with the best public service transportation, you see higher prices. It makes sense. They're not spending money on a car and car insurance and gasoline. You know, they're switching it out for the price of a house. Houston? What about Houston? I don't know. Like, what's your question about Houston? We need high-speed rail. we need rails that have been we need our railways to be investigated, every single one of them. We need a good scrub down of our rail system, because as much as the Ohio rail system, that disaster happened, there was more. If you go Google it, get on little Google webs, there was lots of flipped over train disasters in the last month or so. Ohio wasn't the only one. How's the market in Houston? It depends on who you talk to. So I was speaking to somebody. They said they have a lot on the outskirts of Houston, a lot of new construction that is sitting there. But a lot of those same people are also saying that investors are coming in and buying them for basically build to rent. So time will tell what happens with Houston. I don't know enough about it specifically, but that's the rumor that I heard. That's the update I got. Tom Morrison has another question. Says, how are builders in high land cost areas supposed to build affordable housing and make a profit? In my area, it's like $700K for a 1/4 lot. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. If you give developers incentives, like with low cost pieces of land, parcels of land, like they did after World War II, it can be done. And I know in like California, to even get a neighborhood started from start to finish, let's just say the government hands over a piece of land and says, we're going to give you all these parcels of land if you build affordable housing, and they're $10,000 per lot. Developers are like, fantastic. To get through that whole spiel in California with water, electricity, all the utilities, having it graded, like all that pre-development before they even scrape the ground is years before. I think it takes 10 years from the conception to the purchase to the time that they finally get all the approvals. It takes about 10 years before they can even scrape the ground to start a neighborhood. That's a big problem, because I'm all for oversight, but when it gets to be ridiculous at some point, there's got to be a happy medium somewhere. Byron's question is, building cost affects affordability. How can you see housing being more affordable when material costs have been on the rise for some time now? Modular construction. I talk about it all the time. If you look at my channel, you can build homes more affordably with modular construction. And also, that is what they did after World War II, too. Living in Omaha with Dave and Maddie says, question, what about offering investors a tax break or on the gain, or if they sell to an owner occupant without a 1031 exchange to free up money and some inventory? Absolutely. That would be fantastic. There's so many different ways it could be done. It just takes the initiative to somebody to actually do it. There's so many different things. Somebody put in the word bureaucracy. That's for sure. Well, that's for sure. Like, what do you mean the government gets their hands into things too much? It seems like they get their hands into things too much on so many things, but then they don't get their hands in enough in other areas. They kind of like just go, oh, that didn't happen. We'll just brush this under the carpet. Oh, you don't see that. Look, go over here. Look at this weather balloon. Look at this balloon we're shooting out of the sky. Don't worry about this. We're going to tuck it under here. So crazy. Could be aliens. If you were a high-ranking government official, how would you go about mitigating the current housing crisis? What is your definition of a crisis, Utter Bullspit? There is a way. Each area is going to have its own individual problems. You can't make a blanket decree across the United States and think it's going to work. What works in Louisiana isn't going to work in even like Arkansas, for instance. So you would have to have individual oversight for each state to start looking at different ways that you could build more affordable homes in some of the most congested cities. The solution that the federal government has been tossing around is building more affordable apartment buildings, which I am not for. I think that people don't want to live in apartments. I don't think they want to live like that. I think most people want to have a house of their own. So even though that would put a band-aid on the problem, it's not fixing the problem of people being able to have generational wealth by owning a home. So that's when the government flips coins. That's for sure. Oh, the newsboy hat is so cool. You're rocking it. Thank you. This is I have greasy hair, so I'm going to go ahead and throw a hat on. Totally true. It's so gross. So gross. You can make a salad with what's in my hair right now. Transit. We'll have to eat and sleep in the car. And remember that there was this running joke for quite some time that oh, I'm gonna live by the van. What was that? The comedian, he's like, I'm gonna go live by the van. I'm gonna live in a van by the river, and now that's exactly what kids are doing because they have no choice. Rent is so incredibly high in some of the most, in some of the busiest cities. And then they want people to work. They're just like, oh, I can't find anybody to work. Well, you can't find anybody to work because they have no affordable place to live. How are you expecting people to work for those low paying minimum wage jobs if you have no place for them to live? I mean, brainiacs here. Think about it, So what other choice do they have? Kids live in a van down by the river. And we need to, if there's a group of people that definitely enjoy doing that. If we're going to have that as being the norm in the United States, we need to provide more safe areas for people that do decide to do that, to be able to park their van down by the river safely. I don't know. This is my 2 cents, my bleeding heart 2 cents. I mean, not everybody wants to do that. Sometimes there's no choice. If you go into Seattle and parts of California, it's so unaffordable to live there. There's people that are buying camper vans, and that's him, Chris Farley. That's him. I'm gonna live in a van down by the river. He was the best. He was the best. But yeah, so they have lines and lines and lines of people living in camper vans all the way down. And then the people that live along the road, understandably complaining because these people are dumping their garbage into garbage cans that were never intended to have 6 families living on the road. So they're overflowing in trash. So their yards are full of garbage. There's people peeing in the woods in front of their houses and stuff because they're living along the road. We're in a bad situation in so many different levels throughout the United States. But we're going to just keep talking about foreign, balloons in the sky and UFOs and stuff like that. Don't look here, look here. We get a lot of that. So yeah, I'm not even conspiracy theory stuff. I mean, you just turn on the regular news and you can see it's nonsense. Question: What do you think house rehabbers can make affordable housing bonuses from old houses? So, if there was an incentive of home builders that were like flippers that were turning homes in an area to say an area is depressed, but there's a lot of people that live there that are renting, and the government gave them a very, very low interest loan so they could buy building materials. And then the people that were purchasing the houses would get a low interest loan. I mean, there's definitely a way that can be done. Absolutely. That'd be very smart. But the thing is there isn't enough of those homes out there. I mean, if there was homes that could be rehabbed for the first time home buyers, home flippers would be all over it because they always are looking to make a buck. So Lawnmower always likes to point out that my coffee mug is a normal size. I'm just happen to be very small. I'm not tall. Question: as a first-time home buyer, who wants a minimum 15 acres, yet in this market, lowish income? Should we buy the land first or wait until the house and land combo? If you're in a highly desirable area that has land goes quickly, um, I would consider owning the land first before you could get the loan. Because the only reason I'm saying this is as you're paying down your land payments, they're usually not over 30 years, they're for a shorter period of time. You could find out how much your house, that land would be valued with a house on it. And most likely you'll be able to roll some of the equity that you have with the land with the house with a new construction loan in the future. That way you've secured the piece of land that you really, really, really wanted. And then when you're decided to build the house, you could roll all of it together and then you would have one 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Just something to think about. Carl Castro said 2-bedroom apartments in my area are $2,200 require an 8,100 monthly income to qualify, but most jobs pay around $3,200. What in the world? What in the world? How many people in this chat? How many people in this chat are making $8,000 a month? I mean, that is not even. How many people in this chat are making $8,000 a month? That is not realistic for the average person. Tracy says, how is the first time homebuyer programs doing these days? Are they getting people into homes? It depends on what area you live in. So every single state, every single town, every single area has first-time homebuyer incentives. I don't know of any federal incentives at this moment, but you could always check with your state. Sometimes they'll have a state first-time homebuyers. There's always something for like first responders, police, teachers, that kind of thing. But you have to look in your local area, and only your local lenders are going to know what those are. If you try to go to the big lenders, the big national brands, they're not going to know what those programs are. They'll even probably, sometimes I've even heard them say, oh, there's nothing like that. And there is, so just check with the local lender about the local programs when it comes to first time home buyers programs. There's a bunch out there. You just got to check. Wesley says, I make that. I wouldn't pay $27,000. My mortgage is an HOA is $1,500. Yeah. For an apartment? I mean, but like in reality, I know that you make that. How many people do you know that make $8,000 a month? How many people do you know? I don't know a lot of people, let's just say under 30, that are making $8,000 a month. Like, oh, well, I know, Thomas, you're making more than that. Yeah. So I would say the majority of people are not making $8,000 a month. Not me. Yeah, lots of people, not me. Yep. So hit that like button. Well, everybody, it's been a pleasure to speak to every single one of you. Like I said, I'm not quitting YouTube. I will be here next Sunday. You're just not going to see as many uploads coming up in the next couple weeks. I will probably no more than four weeks tops. But I will be returning with my regular scheduled programming after a month. I'm just taking a little break from the edited videos because I got some stuff working on the background that I'm trying to help real estate agents with, and I do enjoy helping people, just like I enjoy being here helping you talk and navigate this crazy real estate market. Matter of fact, if you guys need some help navigating the real estate market and you're looking for a real estate agent in your area, I have a website you can go to. It's KristinaSmallhorn.com. Go ahead and fill out that referral form. Please, for the love of everything that's holy, put in your phone number. I cannot call you if you don't put in your phone number. And if you don't put in your phone number and you don't put in your email address, it's very difficult for me to respond. So please put those things in there, and we'll have a little conversation. We'll have a little chitty chat. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for spending your Sunday with me. Happy Mardi Gras to everybody. Make sure you go ahead on Fat Tuesday. Go ahead and get your last little licks of Mardi Gras beads and your king cakes and your king cake babies and your boudin. Get everything together for your last meal before you your fast. So, in Louisiana is absolutely stunning. Like, we have the windows open. So nice. So nice. Bye, everybody. Have a great week. Have a great week. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Mardi Gras music going. I'm gonna do my little shimmy. My little homebody shimmy.